Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 29 of our favorite rock guitar teams of all time. That's right, we're almost at the end of the month. We've gone through each and every day. We've picked out some of these two guitar teams, even some three guitar teams. Maybe a great lead player and a fantastic rhythm player, or two great lead players, or three great lead players, right? So we've seen all sorts of different combinations over the course of the month, running across multiple genres, right? We've done some classic rock, hard rock, heavy metal, prog rock. We've kind of covered all the bases here for the most part this month. And, my pick today, pretty much a given when you're talking about guitar teams, and maybe neither one of these two guys is a flashy virtuoso, but they both had such an identity in their playing styles. They work so well together, and really the music of this legendary band, speaks volumes, right? And all four members of this band contributed mightily to make them one of the great rock bands of all time. Of course, I'm talking about the Beatles, and I'm talking about George Harrison and John Lennon, right? Of course, there they are down at the bottom here. There's Mr. Harrison, there's Mr. Lennon, of course, Ringo and Paul. Paul also played some guitar in the Beatles records as well, but for the most part, you had George Harrison, kind of the de facto lead guitarist, right? And it's not a band where they played tons of guitar solos and things, but these quick little bursts you would get in a lot of their songs, and the jangly riffs and rhythms of John Lennon, and John would play lead as well on many Beatles albums. But for me, you have the early part of the Beatles catalog, which is a lot of the kind of the pop stuff, right? The early mid '60s stuff, which is very much quick little 2 minute long ditties and things like that. It's still a lot of great guitar work on those albums, but for me, it's kind of for me when these two guys really started creating some really interesting stuff together. I mean, really interesting stuff together. Again, as the '60s is wearing on and psychedelia is coming into play, right? The Beatles all of a sudden they're moving with the times, and they're leading the times as well. So Rubber Soul, great stuff on here. You got Norwegian Wood. Baby Won't You Drive My Car. I mean, great guitar work on that. And Michelle, In My Life. Nowhere Man, great stuff on here. Of course, Revolver, taking things even further, right? Revolver, I mean, Taxman, featuring a very cool Paul guitar solo on that. These jangly rhythms and riffs and things, and then these biting, quick little bursts of guitar firepower. Eleanor Rigby is great, Yellow Submarine's on here. She Said, just killer stuff. And then, of course, Sgt. Pepper. All sorts of classics on Sgt. Pepper. The title track with A Little Help from My Friends, Lucy and the Sky with Diamonds, Getting Better. I mean, man, look at the track list. Every single song on here is just a winner. And again, this is, a lot of people talk about, the Beatles started doing things that helped influence progressive rock, certainly psychedelic rock, and, you have George Harrison, who was a big fan of Eastern influences, and started adding like sitar and all these other kind of Middle Eastern themes and stuff, because he was really into that, really on the spiritual side of music, right? And so yeah, another. I always thought of Harrison was more the Harrison and Lennon. Lennon was more the rocker, I think, and Harrison was more the kind of spiritual musical personality in the band. So a lot of great stuff on there. Of course, the White Album. The White Album is jam-packed. That is white, huh? Wow, look at that. The White Album is jam-packed with lots of great guitar work. In fact, for my money, I think some of the best guitar work from these two guys comes from this double album. Back in the USSR, you got Dear Prudence, Year Blues, Helter Skelter, Cry Baby Cry, Revolution, so many good kind of normal Beatles-ish sort of things on this album, and it's a little darker album, a little more serious album, it's a little more avant-garde of an album, and I think these guys just really, Blackbird, great song, and great acoustic stuff too, I might add. A lot of great acoustic textures on some of these albums as well, and you got that here. And then perhaps their greatest achievement of all, Abbey Road. Man, the whole ending suite on here is just absolutely, Golden Slumbers carry that weight. Come Together's got some really, really good guitars on there as well. You get silly stuff like Octopus's Garden, Maxwell Silverhammer, still really charming. Something is great. Yeah, so much good stuff. Sun King, Here Comes the Sun, gorgeous stuff on here. Great textures from Harrison on that. Yeah, I mean, got to have the Beatles in the show, right? Again, these are not the big virtuoso guys who are doing all sorts of flashy stuff. That's not what the music of the Beatles is all about. But as far as like two guys just gelling so well and able to create, not, I mean, from a songwriting perspective, and you've got to throw McCartney into that mix, of course, right? But then able to kind of weave all the different colors and textures and pastiches like all over those songs that make the music of the Beatles so magical. So yeah, there you have it. My pick for today. How much more can you say about the Beatles that hasn't already been said? But yeah, but Lennon and Harrison is my duo for today. Guess you can kind of throw Paul in there as well because he's contributed lots of guitar work on these albums as well, and is a fabulous bass player, I might add. So yeah, let us know what you think of Lennon and Harrison in the comments below, as well as your pick today for day 29. We just got 2 more days coming up to finish out the month before we move into my favorite female-fronted bands of all time, my top 30. We're going to do that all throughout the month of November. Each and every day, I give you a different band fronted by a great female singer, and I'll probably give you in each instance my favorite album by that particular band. All right, so that's coming up starting November 1st. So thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Stay tuned. What do we got coming up today? We've got the UK Connection. Simon Bray, Stephen Reed, and myself will be dissecting and ranking the songs on a classic album. That album is Meatloaf's Bad Out of Hell. And then stay tuned tomorrow for ranking the albums. I will be ranking the albums of heavy metal favorites, High on Fire. That's coming up on tomorrow, Sunday morning. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you for another. Remember, we got 2 more of my favorite guitar teams, or our favorite guitar teams of all time. So just 2 left, and then of course I'll do a little wrap up with some honorable mentions as well. So stay tuned. I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. See you soon. Bye bye.